Okay, so that's the majority of all the spray work done. Now, the way you have to look at it is like a rough job with it, because there's still things we need to do. Obviously, we need to lighten up and check panels and various bits and pieces. But before we want to do that, we want to get rid of any marks that the actual worms have done. So what we do, we get a bit of kitchen roll. I'm just going to give it a wipe over the entire model. Obviously, make sure you've been drying a little bit before you do this. This will just take out any marks, little greasy marks perhaps, that your little tapeworms have made. But it's a good idea to do this because it really does help, because those marks will actually transfer right the way through. If you don't get rid of them, you know, they're very easy to get rid of. But if you don't do it, what will happen very rapidly is that obviously you'll put another coat of paint down, and before you know it, it's working against you, because it will be in different layers, and you know, underneath various bits and pieces and underneath a varnish coat, and then you can't get it off, and that will stay then for the duration of your model. So by having a quick wipe round now, we can get rid of all of that. So we'll just do that now. But you'll see them quite easily. They stand out very well. They don't harm it. It's not, you don't get a greasy effect on your paintwork at all. But it's just one of those things we need to get rid of. Okay, final bit just here. Stubborn bit. And there we go, just a tiny bit of this tail. And there we go, we're all done. So now what we're going to do is come back with some lightning to basically give the panels on the top here the same as what we've done the bottom. So all we're going to do, we're just going to we'll start with the brown. We'll get some loaded up into the airbrush, and we're going to add just a tiny bit of white to it to lighten it up, just the same as we did on the bottom. Okay, so we've got this thinned down quite heavily, and we've added some white to it. So just bringing the air pressure up. Now also what we're going to do, the spinner on the front, we've deliberately left it off, and we're just going to get some very light dusting to sort of prime as we go. But I've deliberately done this afterwards because it's going to be a lighter shade. I want it to be slightly lighter than the rest of the aircraft itself. We're just spinning our way round. We'll just do the back of it as well. Okay, there we go, that's that done just like that. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to do these panels. Now, we're not obviously going to go right up to the green and the various bits and pieces. If you're worried about going a little bit too close, then just back off slightly. So all we're going to do, we'll do this little area in the front here. Just fading down. Same way as we do all those others. If I do it this way, you can see it a little bit better. Centres of panels, don't go too far over. And then what we can do, we can go around and do little touch-ups as and when is required. But just keep to the centre, and that way you won't go over. But you will get a tiny bit of overspray, but obviously when you come back with the green, hopefully it'll balance itself out. And yeah, that's what we're really trying to do. So I'm just going to run around everywhere and lighten up and make it quite blotchy and mottly. And don't forget, every now and again, just come along, clean off that needle with a cotton bud or with a piece of tissue just like that. A couple of big blasts, again, cleaned it off, and away you go. Because doing this type of work, it does tend to get a bit of build up quite quickly. as you can see, it gives it that sort of nice toned down bleached look straight away. And obviously when we come back with the green, which will be the more sort of clean up colour if you like, it'll make quite a difference to it. So what we're going to do now, we just give the spinner another quick coat. Just like that. We'll just tip that back in there. Okay. Do a quick colour change, which I'll show you. I don't think I've shown you for a while. But basically, we just go airbrush thinners, or cleaner in this case. Bit of a swirl round. Make sure you get the dried stuff all off the edges if you've been using it for a bit. Down in around the needle area. Quick brush around the front of the needle. Tip it all out. White round everywhere. Quick rub on the inside. Airbrush cleaner again, and just blow it through. There we go, job done. Very simple, very quick. Okay, back in with more thinners. With 1/2 ml. Quick shake. Okay, in with the green. Obviously, don't forget you're making a wet mix, which is lots of thinners, not much paint. Just in like that. So, more white. So just grab a cocktail stick full like that. 1 drop, 2, 3, 4 drops. 4 like that. Okay, bit of a mix. Good old mix round. With the white, you have to be careful when you're mixing the two paints, because obviously you do tend to get a blob occasionally. So we just do it like that. Okay. Just pop the top on of that. Okay. That's our green through okay. And literally we're just going to come back now and do the same with the green. You can see there on that wing, it's just giving it a nice faded down look, bordering on bleachy. Build-up happening, so I'm just going to wipe that off. The last areas we've really got to do, we've got to put this bar, the band if you like, round the back, which we're going to use a little bit of jammy tape, which is probably a slightly thicker one. So we use a bit of this because it's very good for sort of round curves and things like that, and we'll get that installed. So if we just tear ourselves a piece. Okay, checking our instructions to see exactly where it's going to lay. Okay, and it comes halfway down this here. So what we'll do is we're just going to place that around about here. Okay, and then we're just going to, by line of eye, pull it down to roughly give us our mark. And it comes down behind that one there. Okay, and the same with this one, we can pull in, sorry you're slightly out of shot, do apologise. Just like so. Alright, so we just put that one up out of the way. Okay, now it's quite a thin line. Obviously you can use the decal, but decals on this type of area do tend to be rather hit and miss, where it's easier just to spray these types, you know, your standard sort of RAF marking you get. Okay, so obviously the key here is just to keep it the same width all the way round. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're just going to spray this one in. Let's move those out of the way. So very gently. Just going to blow it in. There again, we're not using the standard type of blue because we're, you know, it's all part of the weathering process. So we've got a slightly dirty blue instead of a bright blue that the decal would give you. And there we go, we just let that dry a second and get that unmasked. And there we go, we're all done, as you can see there. Bring you out a bit, we're a bit wide for this shot, okay. All nice and dry, the band is on the back there, all very nice and faded, everything else like that. So the next thing we're going to do is give this a coat of Johnson's Clear all over, or your Future, or wherever it is in your part of the world. And then we can basically get the decals on then, and then we can start on the weathering process as we work our way forward. So we're just going to get this straightforward, straight out of the bottle. I think your compressor up and running. What we'll do is just give this a quick blow through, make sure all clear. Okay, so we just pour this neat from the bottle straight into the colour cup, just like that. And what we'll do, we'll spray this in two halves. We'll do the underside and then we'll do the top side. So what we'll do, we'll just remove the bungs in here in the wells. So just lift them out like so. Okay, making sure that canopy is on because we don't want any overspray getting into the inside. Okay, and then nice, quite heavy coats, but trying to keep it somewhat even. We don't want runs if we can help it at this stage. We'll just do round the tail here, and the tops, wings. Like so. Okay, and obviously I'm holding it in the middle area, so what I'll do is I'll just give a light spray down there. And what we'll do is I'm going to stand this on its edge, just out of shot in a moment, and then what happens is that can actually dry as is, and then we can come back and just spray this top area around where my hand is. But it's only going to have one coat because the top, because we've used the extra acrylics, it's actually a gloss finish, so it's not going to need too much on there, and the underside is quite a smooth spray coat anyway. So we get these bits all done. So okay, we're going to do the silver on the undercarriage legs, so we put in a couple of about a milliliter thinners, softest brush into our Citadel, load it up, one brush full into about 1 mil. Now the thing is, that's all you need. I hope you can see that in there particularly well if I bring you in. But here we go, that's one brush full into this. Because what you want it to do is be very, very watery. Don't forget, the Citadel paints are extremely thick. So give them a good old mix around. If you do it with a longish type of old soft brush like I've got just here, it does the trick very nicely. Okay, so we'll just close that up because we knock it over. Making sure anything, like, you know, if you've got around on your desk that could get covered in silver, you want it out of the way right now, because overspray of silver is your worst nightmare. You really don't want it. So there we go. We just check our spray. Now I've sprayed these already. They've already been done grey, so it's got something to bite on. And having a primer really works well with these. So there we go. That's one done. Two, we'll just go back to the first one again. Okay. There we go. No problem with those at all. Obviously just on the back here, we're just looking for that rear leg. It is on one of these somewhere. Here we are, it's the actual pitot tube itself. We'll spray that silver. Okay. Dokey. There we go, that's that done. Okay, so what we'll do now, we'll just give this a quick fast colour change. So we just tip that out because there's only a little bit in there. Valero cleaner. That brush we just take a swivel round, coming quite handy. And obviously it is silver, so dump it all out completely. Get in there with a tissue, give it a wipe over the entire thing. Okay, then back in again. Blow through a couple of mil completely, pump your trigger back and forth, and it will just flick anything out. So that's going through nicely. Tiny bit more. There we go. Okay, what we're going to do next is the black. So we've got the black here. And what we're going to do, we're going to just grab a tiny bit of grey. Any grey will do. Just any type of flattish grey. So we'll put a bit of black in there. Any type of medium grey, as I say, don't worry about what it is, as long as it's medium grey. You just want a few drops in there, just like that. Okay, give it a mix up, because the grey will just take the edge off the black and it will give it a more rubber type look than anything else. Got a normal tweezers holding M from the inside out. A bit of air here. Just dusting on. As soon as you notice you're getting a bit wet, just cut to air. There we go. You see that too well, but it's got that. It has that more grey, rubbery look to it than certainly a nice, heavy-duty, black, glossy look, because that's what we don't want. We want sort of to make it look rubbery. So if I just dry it off. Okay, basically been dried now. Good 12 hours with your clear coat. Always allow 12 hours for it to go. The wash, I've had a few people have problems with it this last month or so. You know, really, in every case, it's because you've obviously put on a gloss coat, It'll come with the wash, and you slapped it on as you would do normally, but for some reason it's a little bit sort of wet still. It's not wet to the touch like this, you'd be fine, but obviously when this gets onto it, and because it's acrylic, it sort of reactivates the actual acrylic coat on here. So if you're using clear, make sure it's had 24 hours to dry. If you're using an enamel, honestly give it 7 days. But you know, it guarantees it. This stuff is not the problem. It's literally, in every case, we've tracked it down that the gloss coat we put it on was still a little bit wet. So we'll just get that there. Just grab a nice soft brush. Just like so. Okay. Alright, into the pot, give it a bit of a mix round. As I say, this is an old one. I was asked the other day, how many do you get from a pot? Well, the thing is, originally I said about sort of 20 to 40, depending on its scale. Actually, I'd up that now because this is my same pot, and I must have done well over that now, and I've still got about a third left. Right, usual thing, guys, going on. If it does this type of business, you know, if you can see it like that, right, where it's actually just coming away, there's two things you can do. Either just get a bit more on your brush and work it in like that. If it still does it, just add a couple of drops of dishwater soap. Just literally 1 drop into a full bottle. If it's not a full bottle, you're down to half a bottle, then don't put as much in. But if you just work it in slightly, you'll find that there's a degreasing agent in there, and it will help pull it all away. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to slap this round the entire model, top and bottom, absolutely everywhere, and then when you come back, we'll get it all off. Okay, so as you can see, it's all wet now. I'm going to let that naturally dry. It's a bit of a sunny day, quite a bit warm. So what I'm going to do is just literally let it dry on its own. If you can, it's better. If you use the hairdryer, although it speeds it up and that, sometimes it doesn't quite dry in the panel lines, and when you wipe it, it comes off in one great bits and pieces. Okay, these tyres, we painted them up, if you remember. I'll bring you in a bit. And there we go, they're just like that. So we've got the hubs off, which I've sprayed separately, and it's the beauty, you know, normally we have to paint these wheels, but not today, because literally the hubs just go in push fit, just like that. And then obviously we've got the other side, and actually they're a nice fit, just like that. Very easy to do, very straightforward. And then we've got these undercarriage legs, which obviously we painted silver before. And there we go. How simple is that? Now, if they're all like that, we wouldn't have any trouble painting wheels ever. Okay, so that's those bits done. We're all okay with that. The fuel tank we're going to make up, and we're going to do that as well. Obviously you could do the bomb, whichever sort of scenario you're going to do it like that. The other bits of undercarriage and that, if you wanted to paint the crew figure, you could do that. Obviously I'm not going to worry. So what I'm going to do literally is give this about half an hour, 40 minutes to totally dry off, come back, get it off, and then we're going to weather it just the same as we actually did to the Saab Draken. By basically using the pulling method and cotton buds and things like that, and I'll roughly run through it with you the same as I did with you. Okay, so there we go, we're all basically dry. I've got a couple of little wet areas going on here, but I'm not terribly worried about those. So we just clear a bit of space. Usual thing, gang, we're just going to get some tissue, kitchen roll, Bounty. If you're in the UK, it's probably the best you'll get because it doesn't fall apart when you lick it or moisten it or however you do it. The usual thing. Put it into quarters, have a pile of them off to one side, just like that, and then obviously cotton buds for getting into those little tight areas. So there we go, we'll avoid, obviously got a wet part here and down here, so we'll avoid those for the moment. Lick to moisten, back of the hand, take the majority of it off, nice slow circular motions, okay. If you do the nice circular motions just like that, you'll actually push it into the actual panels themselves, the panel lines themselves, where it hasn't got it. So that's the theory behind that. So if we just clear this area here, and as you can see here, we've got quite nice weathering around on the star. You've got the bits you can see going across those veins there. Okay, and there we go, we've cleaned off that wing. So if we just bring you in a bit. So there we go, you can see the top of the wing there, that's all done. Panel lines in. As I say, it's not a massive jump in your face, it's not like we've done black, but we don't want that. So if I just do the underside as well to show you. Same thing. Obviously, if you get an area that's quite stubborn and it's not coming off quite how you want it to, then obviously give it some more moisture. And here we are, we're just going to do a bit of a dragging technique on the bottom there, so you see you get this nice dirt effect, and all this is just wash left in. Okay, and we're going over quite a nice coat, but if you randomly just strike it like this, okay, and then cut back to normal, you can do some very nice sort of weathering effects very quickly, very easy. And obviously, usual thing, don't like it, re-moisten, give it a bit more, and get rid of it. All just like that. Very simple, very easy, and you can start afresh. But you say that really brings that panel line out. You know, the way we've worked it, we've obviously got the pre-shading gives the depth of the actual panel line itself. Then you've got the wash in there to give it that nice crispness, so you've actually got something to look at. And then you've got the fadedness as it fades away. And just though that combination of three, which is very simple, very straightforward to do, can actually give you a lovely weathering effect without actually having to come back with pastels, post-shading, you know, things like that. You can literally just walk away and leave it just like that. So there we go, that's that area done. Now I'm going to get the wash off the rest of the model completely.